Back. You mind
Okay,
just
can I get your ID, please?
Of course you can. 8608. That's
Great.
me. Alright? So you can have my documentation. That's
no
not
problem.
a bother. I'm going to be doing checks on this
Yep.
vehicle.
Absolutely. Can I just ask you under your oath of office today?
What, sorry?
Under your oath of office, the
We're
oath that you
starting to
took
get a
over.
bit ridiculous now, aren't we?
Can you answer the question, please? Ignorance is equal to fraud. Ignorance is equal to fraud. Ignorance is equal to fraud. Can you answer the question,
I know, we need a traveling emote so bad.
please? Can you answer the question, please?
Give me a second.
Ignorance is equal to fraud, you know.
Could we,
Ignorance is equal to fraud. That's a dangerous statement for a sovereign citizen to make.
Or could we ask the Tango 3482, I think it was, to come and liaise with me at my location? I'm by the Warwick store, just off, the Nisa store, just off Warwick Road.
You'll work on the
Am I
traveling
under the oath
emote
of
today?
office
Thank
today?
you,
Your oath
Baha.
of office that
Yes.
you took as a... Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Great. And you understand that it says in the oath of office to uphold my basic human rights?
I am upholding your human rights.
Right.
Who's being nasty to you? Who's being untoward?
Well,
I've explained...
See, I like these sovereign citizen or freemen of the land videos more because the cops in these countries tend to be more reasonable and don't try and escalate every interaction and don't have such huge egos that the second they encounter any sort of friction in the interaction with a citizen, they don't immediately, like, get butthurt about it and start escalating to the point that they need to smash someone's window. They're just like, who's doing anything? Just agree with, you know what I mean? This is the attitude I would like from the police. Yes, please.
The reason why I've stopped you...
Absolutely, but the problem is it doesn't violate my human rights.
Because DVLA have said that there's no longer a keeper on this vehicle and that insurance isn't held. I'm doing my...
Altered Rin asks with 10 bits, would you be willing to do a transition Q&A stream or maybe part of a stream being open to questions about taking hormones? Sure. Someone asked me on, I'd do it. I don't know if I'd, like, host it here, just because I don't... As much as, like, if someone has a question about, you know, trans-specific stuff, I'm more than happy to answer them, but I don't know. I just feel weird about being like, hi, come and talk to me. I know what I'm talking about, because I don't feel like I do. But, like, if you had a couple, you know, trans people on, maybe, you know, like a, you know, like if I were, like, representative of, like, trans women, or there were a couple, like, trans women on a panel, and then maybe there were some trans men who could talk about their experiences, or, you know, non-binary people, whatever, and I was just part of it, that'd be great. But I always feel weird acting as though I can speak with authority for, like, an entire group of people when I have a very, you know, narrow experience. So I would be open to discussing it with people, but I wouldn't want to be the only one there. Are we sure this is a cop? No one's been tased yet.
Job as a police officer, I'm not being nasty to you, I'm not swearing at you.
Yeah.
Alright? I've got to make sure that this vehicle is legitimate and roadworthy to drive, and that you, in fact, are legitimate and roadworthy to drive.
It is 100%
So,
legitimate.
being that reason, do you have any documentation on you to ascertain who you are, please?
I can't hand any of that over.
You
no,
can't
sorry.
hand any of it to me?
No, sorry.
Okay.
I don't answer questions.
You're leaving me with very few options here. Okay? At the moment, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be civil with you.
I mean, you can read these documents
I
that I've got here. if you
I
like.
can read them, you're exactly right. And if you're good enough, I'll have a look through them. But at this moment in time, I'm trying to proceed with doing my job. And you not speaking to me, that's fine. I don't mind.
It's alright,
Okay?
yeah.
I'm sure it's nothing personal. I'm sure that...
It's not personal at all.
I'm sure that we've not met before.
It's not
But in
personal at
order
all.
for me to do my job and process this paperwork, which I'm going to have to do with you, I'm going to have to ascertain who you are. And until you do that for me, then the options open to me may be leading to your arrest. Do you understand that?
No, I don't.
Right. If you're not going to tell me who you are, I've still got to do my job, and I've got to find out who you are. And I've got questions I want to answer. I want you to answer for me. So, in order to do that,
Isn't it just wild seeing this compared to the sovereign citizen videos we see from the United States, where the cops in the US are constantly trying to, like, do a pissing match, and they're constantly like, I am the authority! And this guy's just like, hey, you know, I'm doing my job, let's just have a discussion like human beings. Isn't it just absolutely wild how awful American cops are compared to cops in other parts of the world?
I'll place you under arrest. Okay?
Yeah, that's your. Excuse me, that's my personal property.
Right. You're being absolutely ridiculous.
I'm afraid. Anything you've got to do, you'll have to do by force, I'm afraid. I'm not going to consent to anything.
Right. This is quite ridiculous. Okay? I don't know what the problem is.
The problem is that I'm practicing my human rights and travelling.
Well, that's absolutely fine.
Well, no, because I've been told for nothing.
The weird thing is, I don't know why people who are like in other countries, like these freemen of the land, I don't know why they reference traveling. Because the traveling thing, which is already a misconception in the first place, comes from an American legal dictionary, right? And a misreading of certain American legal codes. This guy isn't even in America, so it doesn't make sense for him to claim he's traveling, right? Unless there's entirely different documents for, like, the UK that someone's misinterpreting in the same way to say that traveling is a human right when it isn't. Like, what? I should rephrase that. You have the right to travel within the bounds of the country in which you live. You, however, do not have the right to operate a motor vehicle on public roads in order to travel. That's a privilege. MMO Addicted with 100 bits. The fact our cops are just like, this is why I was at first a bit incredulous at the ACAB slogan. Then I researched and yeah, most of your American cops are bastards. True.
Nothing. Look, get your phone back up and record us.
I haven't, oh, still on record.
Right.
I haven't done anything to anyone.
Right. What
I haven't done any crimes to anyone.
What have I told you that I've stopped the vehicle for?
Yeah,
I've explained to you that it doesn't have a registered keeper.
Right.
I've explained to you that it doesn't have
yeah, but
any
the
insurance.
thing is, Article
This isn't
17.
invalidating
Can I just speak, please?
No, this isn't validating your human
It
rights.
is, because Article 17 of the Human Rights Declaration is freedom of ownership. If I have freedom of ownership, why do I need to tell people what it is?
Because I've told
You have a right to own a vehicle, but if you put it on public roads, then the government also has the right to ask for your ID because they are allowed to require you to have an ID, a driver's permit, in order to operate your vehicle on public roads. You're allowed to own your car all you want. It can sit in your driveway, you can drive it on your own private property, and you have a right to own that provided you bought it legally. However, this is not an ownership issue. This is an issue of being allowed to drive on public roads. And the government of your country, whether it's America or somewhere in the UK, can require you to have a license to operate your property on public roads.
No, I've got it. I don't need to ask permission. No, just because you told me doesn't mean that it's correct.
It's true.
No, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's correct.
So
you need to acknowledge.
All the people, I'm just going to make this up and tell you a bit of a lie.
Not at all.
Right.
But the problem is that there's a contradiction between human rights and legislation. This is the problem.
Johnny, can I get
And
back
our
to you?
human rights are being taken away by legislation.
That's hilarious to me, too, because I'm pretty sure the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is like a UN thing, but it's not, like, binding. I don't even think that's a UN binding, like, thing. So, not that nations already don't take binding legislation from the UN seriously, much less unbinding ones. Declaration of Human Rights. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a milestone document in the history of human rights drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United States General Assembly in Paris on December 10th, 1948. As a common standard of achievements for all people in all nations, it sets out for the first time fundamental human rights to be universal and protected, and it has been translated into over 500 languages. And hey, yes, cool document. I agree, but it is not a legally binding document. It's not like a constitution, right? It's just something the UN made to be like, hey, this is what we can all agree on are basically human rights, and every country should ideally uphold these things. But, like, Saudi Arabia is a member of the UN, and they, of course, don't follow it. Frick, they're on the Human Rights Committee, I think, at the UN. So, just want to point out, well, it is a cool document, It is not something that you can say, like, you need to follow this, because it's not legally binding in any way.
This is the problem.
Okay. 8608 Torbay.
See, I need to practice my free will as a free human being, and if I cooperate in any way, I relinquish my free will and give you joinder, which I'm not prepared to do. Joinder.
Give me
Joinder.
joinder.
Yeah, like an agreement that I'll
Complying with the cops has nothing to do with whether or not you are supposed to comply with the cops. You don't need to have a contract with the cop who's pulling you over in order for them to have authority over you. They have authority over you because they have been entreated with that power by virtue of their job that's been given to them by the state. I don't mean literally the state, I mean the government in general. It might be state if they're like a state trooper, but if they're like a county cop, the government whose jurisdiction you are in has given them the power to have authority over you. There's no contract necessary, it's just the law.
With the units close to Warwick Street, are there? This gentleman's proving awkward. Now, if the traffic officer's not too far away, that'd be great. This gentleman's proven quite unusual.
Quite unusual.
Okay, everything's getting recorded.
Yep, I'll just need to get
Traffic cops arrive.
Thank you.
Would you like to take many of these documents?
No, not yet. An unusual gentleman. Pulled in, vehicle's coming back on DVLA with no license keeper at the moment, no insurance on it. Just been talking to a gentleman here. We're being recorded, which is part of the course. Gentleman's refusing to furnish me with any of his name details, anything like that.
I'm not refusing it, I'm just upholding my rights.
Just asked him to step outside the vehicle, at which point he's proceeded to put a crash helmet on and said, I'm going to have to remove him by force. So at this moment in time, I'm not...
Wait, he put a helmet on? Honestly, sovereign citizens in America should start carrying around helmets in case they have interactions with the cops. Heck, everyone, what a good idea. Let's start a campaign. Everyone start wearing helmets. That way if the cops try and, like, brutalize you, your head will be safe.
I'm struggling to...
He's ignoring the fact that he reached in and took my keys,
yeah,
which is theft, because it's my personal property.
You were going to drive off,
Well,
it could have caused me an injury.
Whoa, hang on, whoa. At what point? Like, what evidence do you have to support that,
You put a
please?
crash helmet on.
I put it on as soon as you took that.
No,
you did
you
that
put the
first.
crash helmet
That's pure lies. I'm sorry, that is pure
it's
fraud.
recorded, so you
Pure
can play it
fraud.
out.
I
That's
can
fine.
do. I can do.
I'm struggling at the moment. If the gentleman's not going to comply, he's giving me no details with regard to who he is.
I'm being caused alarm and stress at this point, and absolutely nothing. It's mine.
I know who's it insured with, please.
I don't answer questions, sorry.
You don't answer questions?
Nope, it's my human right.
And do you have a full driving license?
It's my human right, I don't answer questions.
Well, we have...
That's not how that works. Even in the U.S., which you have your Fifth Amendment right to not self-incriminate, does not cover things like the cops asking you for your name, asking you for your license, registration, asking you for your insurance. These things are not self-incriminating, right? If you are asked these questions from the cops, you have to answer. You have to identify yourself during a traffic stop. You have to give them these documents, and if you don't, they're going to assume you don't have them, and it's illegal to drive on public roads without these things, and then they can arrest you. Ancom Gamer Girl, thank you for following. Welcome.
The right under the Road Traffic Act to stop any motor vehicle on the road and check their driver's insurance, license and MOT. That's in the statute. Therefore, the colleague here has obviously stopped yourself because when he's done an initial check on your vehicle, it intimates that there may be no insurance details held on the vehicle.
And I have documents here that I've handed over.
I'm speaking to yourself.
And I have documents here that I've handed over.
Can we have a look at those? please?
Absolutely.
Public service. Do these relate to the motor car? Are these just what do
Yeah.
they relate to?
Yep. They relate to this conveyance. They relate to me. They relate to your oath of office. That's all printed there. The Bill of Rights, the Human Right Declaration.
What
It's
did he print this on? That paper looks like brown.
all in there. It's all
Maybe it's
all the
just the
contradictions
lighting.
are in there.
So would you have the logbook for the vehicle in here, the certificate of insurance, the
There's a
MOT,
copy.
your driving license?
There's a copy of a logbook in there.
Which envelope's that in, please?
It's been that long since I put it together. I can tell you. You'll just have to
Right, we'll just
look
go
through them
through
all.
them. I'll come back
Absolutely.
now, right?
By all means.
Okay.
By all means.
Cheers.
Give me a read.
I've already explained to you the.
You ask what the emergency is.
I've already explained to you the reason why.
No, the emergency.
These people also do like, what's the emergency? Because they think that in order for the cops to interrupt you in any way, there has to be some sort of emergency, which is not the case. They can stop you for a traffic stop. They have the power to do that. There doesn't literally need to be like a stabbing happening. British Bob, thanks for following. In order for the cops to stop you. It's not the case.
No,
It's just because you're only supposed to use your blue lights when there's emergency.
don't be ridiculous.
They use those to pull people over too. That's like the law. The cops both use those for emergencies and to pull you over, to signal you to pull over. And once you are pulled over, if you're next to traffic, they usually keep them on to keep you and them visible. It's a safety thing.
It doesn't really answer the question, though, does it?
I'm not going to answer your question. It's a ridiculous
Oh,
question.
ignorance equal to fraud. You're a public servant.
Did he say Bill of Rights? He was talking about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was drafted by the UN, which is a cool document, I agree, but it is not legally binding. No country is legally bound by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in the same way that, let's say, the US law is bound to follow the Constitution of the US, or the UK law is bound to follow their own, whatever their big foundational document is. The only legal document I know about from the UK is the Magna Carta, and I'd imagine they have more recent things than that. But
I'm a member of the public.
Don't be silly.
It's a public inquiry.
Don't be silly.
Public inquiry.
we're just doing sovereign citizens today, not Karens.
No, it's the contradictions, you see. Plenty of them. Plenty of them.
Remember, I'm sorry?
Can you remember your oath of office at all? Any of it?
I'm getting very old now. I barely remember what I did this morning.
That's not very good for a police officer, is it?
We're playing silly at the moment.
We're not in the
So-
slightest,
so
because
if-
Constitution,
if you're-
everything's built on it.
if-
Our
if
freedoms,
you're-
our rights are built on this.
Right.
You're supposed to operate your law
I'll
and
tell
not
you
violate
what.
the constitutional
Tell you
rights.
what, just talk away.
Well, the thing is, your oath of office says that you'll uphold my human rights. You don't even know what my human rights are, so how can you uphold them?
I'd imagine that the UK has its own version of the Bill of Rights, where they have sort of a document that outlines what rights their citizens have. I don't know what that document would be, but it's certainly not the UN Declaration of Human Rights, which is what he's been referencing.
Do you know what Article 10 of the Human Rights Declaration is?
Talk to yourself.
Do you know what it is?
Not off the top of my
Well,
head, I don't
are you interested? Because it's in your oath of office.
I am interested. How
The oath of office for people in the UK has nothing to do with the UN Declaration of Human Rights.
However,
Just because the oath of office for a police officer in the UK might be something like, uphold human rights. It doesn't mean the human rights they're saying literally means the UN Declaration of Human Rights. They're probably referencing whatever UK law recognizes as universal human rights, which is a different thing than the UN's version, right?
At this moment in time, I'm dealing with yourself. I'm being perfectly
Yeah.
polite, perfectly nice to
Do you know
you.
what Article 6 of the Human Rights Declaration is?
Perfectly fine.
Article 6 of the Human Rights
perfectly
Declaration.
Nice to you.
No, absolutely. I'm just going to educate you and enlighten you a bit.
Job.
Well, you're clearly not, because it's against your oath of office and against my human rights, to which you said you would uphold.
Okay, that's fine.
So there's more lies there.
I'll refresh myself when I go back.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Well, check
A
out
Geek
Article
with a Guitar
30
99.
Human Rights
Thanks for
Declaration.
gifting
Freedom
us
of
up.
Your
movement.
recommendation.
Freedom
I
of movement. If you have freedom to do something, why do you need to pay to do it? Why do you need to? If you have freedom to do something, why do you need to pay to do it? Why do you need to tell people you need to do it? Why?
Because you're operating on public roadways. That's literally the long and short of it. If you want to walk from one end of the UK to the other, more power to you. But if you want to travel on public roadways in your automobile, then you need to have a driver's license and whatever else the UK government has decided you need to have in order to travel on public roads. I'd imagine, based on what the cop said, it's very similar to the US, where you need like a registration of some sort, you need an up-to-date license plate, you need some kind of auto insurance. These are all things the government has the right to ask you for and to make sure that you have it before you operate on their roadways, because they own the public roads. That's what makes them public. The government built them with taxpayer money and they own them.
Why do you need to ask for permission? It doesn't work.
It's got being
Like, if I own, for instance, a driveway somewhere, let's say I own a little racetrack even. It's just on private property, and I say, you can only operate on my racetrack if you're a brunette. If you have red hair, if you have blonde hair, if you have black hair, get out. You aren't allowed to drive on this roadway. That's completely legal, because that's a roadway I own. I'm not impeding your travel. You're on my property. Therefore, I get to dictate what you get to do on my property. When you are operating on the roads publicly, you are operating on public roadways owned by the government. Now, these roads have been paid for by yourself and others through taxes, but black hair is still considered brunette? Okay, fine. Black hair people can be on my racetrack. My point still stands. The government owns the roads. They pay for those roads with your taxes. So we all get to use them, provided we follow the rules set out by the government who owns said roads. It's very simple.
decent person.
No, it's nothing to do with being a decent person. It's to do with what your freedoms are and what's required of you to do.
And I'm explaining.
And we were
to you
promised
why.
these freedoms,
I'm
and at the
explaining
minute,
to you
well,
why.
not at the minute. I mean, am I being detained or am I free to go?
I'm investigating.
Can you answer the question, please? Ignorance is equal to fraud,
Go on.
and this will come to court. So,
That's fine.
yep. So, am I being detained or am I free to go?
You're being detained for the time being.
Yep.
For me to investigate.
So, I'm being kidnapped, basically.
No, for me to investigate.
I'm being restricted of all my rights
Any
at
potential
the moment.
offences. And if there are
but-
offences disclosed, then we'll have to.
So,
deal
you,
with
so you
those
don't even have any offences to go off. That's
Well,
the problem.
I don't know, do I? If you told me your name, told me who
I
your
don't have to.
insurance-
That's all my
if you
personal
told me
details.
your name, told me your insurance company.
Okay.
Then would
Can I get your full name?
Not my full
Ah,
name.
there we go.
My name's PC
Okay.
Allen. and
Where do you
I'm
live?
I'm based at Biker Police Station.
No, where do you live?
That's
See, it's
not-
your personal property. I have no right to take.
You're not a cop investigating him. You're a crazy person pointing a camera at him during a traffic stop. You do not have the same authority that the cop has in this situation. It's very easy to understand.
Your
Right.
personal information.
I'm not going to go around in circles with you, because
It's not circles, it's straightforward,
We have two opposing views on the world.
It's not a view, it's a
We
fact.
do. We do.
You either have the right or you don't.
Okay.
Give you those back. There you go.
Okay?
Appreciate we have the logbook here. Is this it's got from, is that Jemiah Komi? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Is that a Komi?
I can't answer the questions.
I'll tell you, we'll have an impasse here, sir.
Right.
What we have is when my colleague and I've just checked your vehicle, it comes back as no insurance details held and it has no MOT. And the driver, your good self, is refusing to provide any details to confirm that you have a driving license to drive the vehicle or to assist us whether you have insurance and current MOT certificate. Do you understand that so far, sir?
Did you check any of this? I don't understand because I don't give any joinder. Okay, did you check any of these statements?
That's printed off Bill of Rights, etc. Under the Road Traffic Act, as I've explained before, we are allowed to stop vehicles, and if you bear with us and confirm...
Only under the Road Traffic Act?
Sorry?
Only under the Road Traffic Act, which violates Article 17 of the Human Rights Declaration, which my right of...
The Human Rights Declaration is not a binding declaration. It's non-binding. Why do these people think that the UN, which no one takes seriously, wrote a human rights declaration and all of a sudden every country in the world is bound to do it? First of all, who's going to enforce the binding nature of that, even if it were binding? Secondly, Saudi Arabia's in the UN. If it were binding, wouldn't you think the UN would have a lot of problems with Saudi Arabia instead of putting them on their Human Rights Council?
Freedom of movement. Sorry, Article 13. My apologies. Well, freedom of movement.
Whatever. So
well, if I've got freedom, then what are you stopping us for? I haven't hurt anyone, have I?
We have the right.
Have I hurt anyone? Have I hurt anyone, please?
I'm not going to answer your question, get into an argument over legal bits, but we have the right to
according to who?
And check.
According to who do you have the right?
Under the Road Traffic Act, sir.
So that's only a DVLA telling you that. It's not me telling you that. I never gave you that right. The DVLA gave you that right.
Correct. You don't have to agree to every law. If people had to agree to every law that gets signed, why would anyone agree to any law? Just in case. If you had to consent for the law to apply to you, there wouldn't be a single person in prison in the entire world. That's not how it works.
I think you find the company give us that right, sir.
Not at all.
The ability to be able to check your driving license and your
well,
insurance.
Police by consent.
Do you understand that, sir?
No, I don't.
Well, you should do if you're prepared, if you're driving a car on the road. I'll give you that back. That's the logbook for the car, and I'll check that out. Just give you that back.
Okay.
There you go.
So you'll see the numerous questions I've asked, and the answers I'm not getting. I swear an oath to the people,
the
and
Discord
then ignore the
invite
people's
didn't
requests
work.
when they want them. Falsely detain them, take away all their human rights.
Like that one? Does this link work for you? In the chat?
I think my mistake is having a window just a touch too far open. Apart from that, I think I've done everything correctly so far.
Weird. Okay. I'll try and get a new link. Here, try this one. Parking in front of him so he can't run away.
What am I to call you in the meantime, Mr. X?
Whatever you want.
Feels impolite not to call you something.
That's just personal preference, isn't it, though?
Christian American with 100 bits. It's very confusing how many of them somehow believe that a nation's laws are intended to violate human rights. Yeah, it's very strange.
I mean, I was brought up to think that
Is that a permanent invite code? I have no idea. I literally just went to Discord and I hit the, you know, invite people button.
You know, financing certain
get a
departments that they can finance banks, to finance illegal wars, to drop bombs on babies and women and children, and then take away the rights of perfectly free, innocent people was wrong. But hey,
Are you seriously trying to equivocate, like, the West's intervention in other countries and the killing of tons of innocent people in places like the Middle East, and you're equivocating that to you having to stop for a traffic stop and give people your name and license? Grow up.
what do I know?
My friend, you're talking about a bigger argument that's between me and you, which is on Warwick Street in Heaton.
It all relates, though, doesn't
It's
it?
a political.
It all
it's a big
relates.
political agenda that. Which
It all-
I think is far bigger than me.
It all relates, though, doesn't it? We're all part of it. We're all part of the human race. You know, it's all,
Either
we
wittingly
need to take responsibility for ourselves
Either
and how we
wit-
treat each other.
Either wittingly or unwittingly.
So
we're all
I haven't done
part-
anything to anyone, so I don't understand what the problem is.
And I haven't said that you have.
So I'm being detained for no reason then.
I'll explain to you in 2 seconds. I've already explained to you the initial reason as to
And I've explained why that's cock and bollocks. So,
Okay.
oops, my apologies.
No, that's fine. We're both grown men. I can take a bit of swearing.
That's also Article 19 of the Human Rights Declaration, which is freedom of speech. So to say that I can't swear is like restricted.
Hold on, I'm getting a link that never expires. There, that link will never expire, and it has no limit. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Do commands, Discord. Let me edit this so it goes to this link. There we go. Now the command should work again, and for all time.
Than what I can say, which is actually restricting my freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech and a freedom to have an opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Opinions are like bumholes, though, aren't they?
What, sorry?
Opinions are like bumholes, though, aren't they?
Everyone's
got one. They all stink.
What was that film of? Clint Eastwood.
Oh, is that off a film? Oh, I thought it
It
was
is.
just general saying.
Dirty Harry. Just 2 seconds. Keep it on the
Absolutely,
phone, mate.
by all means.
Yeah, now a police van showed up. Are they gonna arrest him?
I've explained to you.
That's it.
Right, my friend. I've explained to you at the start why I stopped your vehicle. Okay? And you understand the reason why.
No, I don't.
Right. I've stopped your vehicle because, as I say, I did a check on it on the computer, and it's come back that the DVLA says that there's no keeper and that there's no insurance in force.
Right.
Now, for me to be able to proceed with negating or confirming what the DVLA says, I need to find out your identity and I need to ask some basic questions of your person.
But that would violate
I-
my human rights, so
I can't,
No, it wouldn't.
I can't
I
just
can't
let,
be forced to
I-
give it.
Please, I can't just let you go because I don't know anything about you. You could be anybody.
Yeah.
And if you were-
Notice how from the beginning of this video to the end of this video, the cops are still cordial and reasonable and trying to talk to him like an adult on an equal footing with them, even though he's not. And here's the thing that I think a lot of people who, like, lick cop boot, who, like, watch these videos and they're like, oh, well, of course the cop got mad. Yeah, you know, of course they smashed the window and screamed at him and accosted him. He was being such an idiot. Like, it doesn't matter. You're a cop. The point is you're supposed to be above this. If we wanted random hothead douchebags to just beat people up because they're idiots, then we wouldn't have a police force. We'd just have mob justice. The entire point of a police force is to have reasonable, level-headed people who are going to deal with the public in a reasonable way, even when the public is being unreasonable. Especially when the public is being unreasonable, because that's the entire point. Look at this, and then look at American cops, and try and tell me there isn't a huge problem with American policing.
But if you
So could you, so why should
No,
I give you my details?
If God forbid, if you were to knock somebody over and there was an injury, and then we'd all feel very bad about that, and I'm not prepared to let that happen. If you're unable to furnish me with your details, you leave me with little option but to arrest you. I'd rather not do that.
You have to do everything you have to do.
I'd rather speak to you, civil and politely, and be able to resolve this. But if you're not going to help me, then I'm struggling to kind of complete this task.
How am I obstructing in any way?
Well, because without furnishing your details to me, then I can't proceed.
Daddy
And if
Sume
you're
with
not going
10
to do that, then I'm
bits, and in
sorry.
Why do
response
you need
they
to
would say,
proceed?
that's a weak
Well, because
socialist
I've already
cop.
explained to you to answer
But
that.
where's the harm, loss, fraud? Who have I hit?
Right.
Can you answer the question, please?
This
Who
is
have I
going
hit?
round in circles, my friend, okay?
Can't answer the question. Ignorance is equal to fraud.
I've explained to you as politely as I can do, and in my limited means.
Absolutely. 100%, and I appreciate that, mate.
I've tried to explain to you, but we appear not to be getting anywhere, okay? So I'll tell you now that you're under arrest for suspicion of road traffic offences. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court. And anything that you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that caution?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. I believe that you do understand the caution, and it's all recorded as well. My colleague in the traffic car
Absolutely,
is
100%.
also recording it,
Goes
which
both
is
ways.
fine,
Goes
because
both
that
ways.
makes sure that you're covered and that myself and all my colleagues are covered.
Absolutely.
I'd like you to alight from your vehicle, please, and follow me to the other police vehicle. I'd rather do it peacefully and civil and not make a scene for anybody involved. You understand, this is a residential area. There are lots of people coming about their business. You seem like a nice gent.
Well, nothing happened until you came, so that's
Well,
the aggravation's coming from there.
right.
So if anything happened to a member of the suspecting public, it's you. That's
I'm
you know, I haven't done anything. I haven't done anything to
as
anyone.
politely as I can. Okay,
That's-
I really am. And I'd ask you one last time, please come across to the police vehicle in a civilised and orderly fashion.
And what happens if I say no?
I will have to remove you from this vehicle,
Right.
which I don't want to do.
So that's under the promise of doing harm to my property or me.
Yes, that's how it works. If you refuse to cooperate, they're going to have to physically remove you from the vehicle. That is how it works. Welcome to reality.
Yeah.
No, I don't want
Well,
to do it.
how are you going to remove me from the vehicle without doing harm to it?
I'm asking you to come
Okay.
peacefully.
No, can you just ask me a question? Right. Answer me a question. Sorry. Right. If I don't cooperate, how are you going to remove me from the vehicle?
Take off your seatbelt, open the door, and then pull you out.
How
of
are you
the
going to?
vehicle.
The door's locked, so how are you going to open it?
I've got a key.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
hold it closed.
Oh, come.
Do UK cops have a master key to every car? That'd be amazing.
Come on, this is ridiculous.
I can't cooperate with you.
Look, the longer
He just said he had a key. Why don't American cops have that? It would save so many, windows.
that we all stay here.
Can't give you any joinder because then
He took the key out of the ignition? Why did he hand him his keys then? That's shocking that the sovereign citizen handed his keys to the cop. Daddy Sume says he took it earlier. Okay.
I'll just agree to your terms and condition.
Why are you not wanting to cooperate?
Because I haven't done anything wrong, so there's nothing to cooperate with. It's against my human rights. I'm a free human being, which means I have free will.
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
Random invite says, is the master key a baton?
I'd rather not make this any more difficult than it needs to be.
I'm not violent, so
No, okay.
I'm not going to
saying
threaten
that
you in any way.
I'm not saying that you are violent, okay?
But what I'm saying is,
but-
I'm dead weight at the minute, so
Right.
you have to remove me.
Right, listen. I've never met you
What a
before.
power
I've
move.
got no idea who you are, okay? For all I know, you might be Bruce Lee. I've got no, listen, please.
Okay.
I don't want to get hurt. I don't want my
Neither
colleagues to
do I.
get hurt.
Neither do
and
I.
you don't want to get hurt. So for those reasons, I'm asking you to be as nice as you can and to cooperate
I'm
with
being
me.
as nice as I can,
Okay?
but I can't cooperate.
Right, okay, that's absolutely fine.
got
Would
a
you
first
mind?
name?
Would you mind removing your seatbelt?
I don't give any details. I'm sorry.
Right, excuse me. I'm going to lean across and undo that seatbelt. Please,
By all means.
please do not lean forward, bite, or try and spit
By
at
all
me.
means. By all means.
All right.
Can you imagine for a second a US cop doing this and not just grabbing the guy and throwing him to the ground? God damn. Show this to every police officer in the United States and shame them for how awful they are.
Thank you. Right.
And then lean on his neck with their knee for 9 minutes.
One over there, sir. Right,
The
but
thing is, it's going to be a long, really long process when if you
Because I don't-
operated now in the vehicle.
because I don't know you, and for my safety and your safety and everybody else's safety, I'm going to place handcuffs on you. Do you understand?
No, I don't. That's up to
Okay.
you.
On the other hand, please, you can still hold on to your mobile telephone. That's fine with me. Right? There's enough space in there for you?
No,
There is enough space. Right?
I'm a free human being. There's never enough space.
Okay. Right. I can see there, for the purpose of your mobile telephone, that there's easily enough space for me to place fingers in between both gaps. I'm going to double lock them so that the tightness is not increased in any way. Do you understand?
No, I don't.
Okay, not a problem. Would you please assist me in moving your legs out the vehicle and coming across to sit in the cage?
I'm sorry, I can't.
Okay. I don't like having to touch another man or have to deal with you in this way. Thank you. Mind watching your head as you're getting in? Actually, I'll give you a quick pat down. Have you got anything on your person that you shouldn't
I
have?
can't answer.
Okay, no problems. I'm going to give you a quick search. I'll put my gloves on because I don't know you and I don't know if you've got anything on you.
Yeah,
Alright?
there it is.
Is there anything in that vehicle that might cause any of my colleagues any harm?
I can't answer the question.
Okay.
Violation of privacy. Personal property.
It's about our human rights as well. We've got a right to be safe
Well,
whilst we're conducting our
there
job.
was no danger to you, so.
Well, I don't know that, do I?
Well, not like before you pulled us over. You could have got on with your merry way.
No.
All this is caused by you, mate.
Okay, that's fine.
Nothing's happened until you've come along.
That's absolutely fine by me. Just headphones. Take them off you. As I say, I don't know you. You'll get them back when you get to the police station.
More theft, okay.
It's what, sorry?
More theft.
More theft. More theft.
My keys, my headphones.
Yeah.
Personal property promised to me by the
Just want
state.
making any phone calls when you're in the vehicle.
Whoa, hang on. No, I need this.
So ridiculous. Like, the night and day difference between how American cops handle these situations and non-American cops is just wild, and just highlights what a deep-seated issue we have in this country with
There's nothing
policing.
funny about the
It's
tools of
so bad that we just it's normalized to us. We expect a cop in the US to like brutalize people and scream at them and yell and be like, "I'm the man here, get out of the car!" when they don't have to do that, and it's not even effective. It's not like it's bad and it seems bad, but it's necessary. No, it's not. Not only are you being an asshole, you're being less effective. Learn to be an adult and learn to be an actual policeman instead of a bully with a gun. My God.